Just ahead on CTV News, President Biden announces more federal funding for the Port of Baltimore. Plus, the County Council is pushing for a cell phone ban in schools. And Simon Buggs brings us our Tuesday sports page. These stories and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening. This is CTV News for October 29th. I'm Mariah Jalad. Thanks for joining us. President Joe Biden announces billions in funding to U.S. ports in a visit to Baltimore today. The Environmental Protection Agency will give $3 billion to reduce pollution and greenhouse gas emissions at U.S. ports, including nearly $150 million for the Port of Baltimore.
The new $3 billion funding we're delivering today will help ports and communities all across America. It will cut ports' opening costs, strengthen supply chains, make America businesses more competitive, and keep consumer prices down while slashing carbon pollution and support an estimated 40,000 new good-paying jobs at the port in clean energy manufacturing all across America.
The goal is to provide better working environments for port workers with cleaner air for them and for neighboring communities. And all eyes are fixed on election season in the county, including the Justice Department. The Justice Department announced today that it will monitor compliance with federal voting rights laws in Prince George's County for the duration of the election season. In accordance with the Voting Rights Act, the county must provide voting materials and assistance in both English and Spanish. Along with the deployment of federal observers, you can file a complaint with the Justice Department about any possible violation during the voting process. Meantime, Maryland's U.S. Senate race, along with other races, could help Republicans take control of the Senate. Republican Larry Hogan is looking to defeat Democrat Angela Alsobrooks for a seat in the U.S. Senate. This seat became available after Senator Ben Cardin, a Democrat, announced his retirement. Maryland voters have not sent a Republican to the U.S. Senate in more than 4 decades. Other U.S. Senate races to pay close attention: West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Michigan. And Marylanders have just 2 more days to vote during the state's early voting period. Here in Prince George's, there are 11 early voting polling sites. Early voting locations across the state are open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. Remember, all mail-in ballots must be postmarked or put in a drop box by 8 p.m. on Election Day. Meantime, CTV News spoke to Democrat Angela Alsobrooks, who's running to become Maryland's next U.S. Senator, and says this election is for our future.
This election is for our children and our grandchildren, deciding that we have the power to decide the kind of state and country we will build for them, where we preserve not only their opportunities to grow in the future, to have economic opportunity, to afford to buy houses, to be able to have high-paying jobs and afford health care, but to preserve their freedoms, the freedoms that belong to us and only us, a woman's right to choose, voting rights, climate action that takes into account climate change. This is the election that is about their future.
Election Day is set for November 5th. And Crossland High School and Thurgood Marshall Middle School were put on lockdown this morning out of an abundance of caution. Police were called to Allentown Road for a shooting just before 10 a.m. There, they found an elderly man suffering from gunshot wounds. He was transported to the hospital in critical but stable condition. The suspects are described as 3 males wearing school uniforms. 2 of the 3 suspects are currently in custody. We'll keep you updated as this story develops. And a Greenbelt man is sentenced to 10 years in prison for an execution-style murder in 2022. Anderson Blanco Diaz was convicted for the first-degree murder of Antoine Dorsey. Dorsey was killed with a close-range gunshot to the head while kneeling. It was confirmed during trial that Blanco Diaz is associated with MS-13 gang activity. He faced a maximum sentence of life in prison, but got just 10 years. Prince George's County State's Attorney shares her disappointment with the judge's sentencing.
The guidelines in this case, which again is a first-degree murder case, is life to life. Those are the guidelines. The judge in this case decided to impose a 10-year sentence for the top most serious charge in the state, first-degree murder, a 10-year sentence. Honestly, I was disgusted. This family deserved justice. My office worked hard to achieve justice, and we got it from the jury. And it feels like it was taken away, unfortunately, by the decision of the judge.
Braveboy believes the sentence is increasingly disappointing given that Blanco Diaz has also been charged with rape and attempted murder while he was in jail awaiting this trial. And we now know the name of the motorcyclist that died in a crash over the weekend. The victim was 24-year-old Justin Crosby of Catonsville. Prince George's police were called to the 3400 block of Ritchie Marlboro Road in the early morning hours of October 27th. Investigation reveals Crosby and another motorcyclist were going northbound on Ritchie Marlboro Road. The second rider crashed into a cow that was in the roadway. Crosby didn't hit the cow, but lost control of the bike and hit a guardrail. He was pronounced dead on the scene. And charges have been dismissed against a Prince George's County canine officer who faced animal cruelty charges. Corporal David Acosta was accused of inflicting injuries on his police-assigned bloodhound named Daisy. Investigators say the dog had open wounds from prolonged use of an electric shock collar. Everything changed when prosecutors determined the case could not be made because of multiple problems with the department's canine division, specifically regarding the use of shock collars. The state's attorney called the police department's policies dangerous and flawed and urged the department to make changes, including the certification of the canine unit. And Prince George's County Council takes action that could lead to a cell phone ban in public schools. Supporters of the resolution say the measure would cut down on distractions in the classroom. Many school districts in the region have passed similar bans or launched pilot programs. The resolution would be non-binding, but the idea is to send a message to Annapolis.
This resolution is a way for us to send word formally to our state delegation in Annapolis that we strongly urge them to pass legislation that removes cell phones from schools for the students. You know, we see students having so many problems with their mental health, with bullying, with just plain distractions, and we want to lessen the negative things that come with cell phones during school hours. So it's just one way we think that we can support our students and to make sure that they're having the best educational experience that they can.
And you're watching CTV News. I'm Mariah Jalad. Still to come, it's Pedestrian Safety Month, and a new campaign is here to keep us all safe.
Coming up on CTV News, a new Street Smart campaign is looking to keep pedestrians and bicyclists safe.
Okay, Dad, look at you.
I look nice, don't I?
I see you.
Yeah.
Adding your own flavor to fashion comes with age.
Oh, man, that's the best one yet.
Forgetting how to add doesn't. Finding it difficult to work with numbers may be a sign of Alzheimer's.
Dad, are you okay?
An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one.
High school. Yeah.
Hey, Dad. Do you want to talk about what happened earlier?
Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's. Some things come with age. Some others don't.
Love is a lesson that doesn't end. It knows no conditions, so you better buckle in. Love keeps you on your toes. It never stops, only grows. Love isn't easy, it's a commitment, especially when they're being their most resistant. Love is finding the right seat so you can take a breath. But remember, love isn't lax, it always double checks. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. Innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. They're skilled experts, discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, leading by example. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org.
Welcome back. October is National Pedestrian Safety Month, and a new Street Smart campaign is here to remind all of us, drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists, to watch out for one another. Our Michaela Newton has the details.
Started to proceed across the crosswalk. I was about 3/4 of the way through, and somebody yelled, "Look out." The next thing I know was this black metal bearing down on me.
It was on a fateful day in December of 2016 when Mike Doyle would soon turn his pain into purpose.
It's also an opportunity for us to amplify the message of street safety.
The Metropolitan Police Department is launching its Fall Street Smart campaign.
Maintaining pedestrian and bicycle safety is paramount. Toward that goal, MPD increased patrols in high pedestrian areas, particularly near schools, to foster compliance and safety.
According to Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments, fall and winter seasons can be particularly deadly for pedestrians and bicyclists, as the end of daylight savings time and fewer daylight hours decrease visibility on the road. They also claim it makes it harder for drivers, walkers, and cyclists to see each other. In 2023, 117 pedestrians and bicyclists were killed in traffic crashes in the region. Now, according to officials, all of these were preventable traffic deaths. To tackle this issue head-on, sandwich boards will begin popping up around areas where crashes have occurred. These walking billboards will be stationed at critical intersections like those along Branch Avenue between Naylor Road and Suitland Parkway, as well as in Temple Hills, Maryland.
To be more aware of the risk on the road to vulnerable road users, pedestrians.
Thanks, Michaela. It's a powerful message that reminds us all safety is a shared responsibility. An open enrollment for the Affordable Care Act begins Friday, and an estimated 7,000 new recipients will be eligible for Maryland's health insurance marketplace. Thanks to the Department of Health and Human Services, DACA recipients will now have expanded access to health care. The DACA program, put in place during the Obama administration, protects undocumented immigrants from deportation if they were brought here as children. With the addition of DACA residents, it's expected that the upcoming enrollment period will help cover up to 6% of Marylanders who are not currently covered by health insurance. And the University of Maryland Student Government Association will discuss a resolution this week that calls on the university system to divest funds from certain security, defense, and military companies. According to the resolution, those companies, quote, facilitate and enable state violence and repression, war and occupation, or severe violations of international law and human rights. The resolution says UMD should withdraw funds that its endowments have invested in those specific companies. Support for divestment has increased over the past year, with several protests on UMD's campus amid Israel's war in Gaza. If the resolution passes, the Student Government Association will begin lobbying efforts directed at UMD. And the Biden administration is rolling out a new student loan relief plan, this time aimed at people with big debts. The administration's efforts to erase college loans have hit multiple legal roadblocks, but if it goes through, the new plan would provide debt relief to nearly 8 million people. The proposal is aimed at people dealing with financial stress, like from medical debts or expenses from a natural disaster. Anything that could be keeping them from paying back their student loans. Some could get loan forgiveness automatically if the education department thinks they have an 80% chance of defaulting on their loans in the next 2 years. Others will have to fill out an application. And providing healthy food options for incarcerated individuals is the aim of a bill before Prince George's County Council. CR 66 would create a task force that would make recommendations to council regarding nutrition and food safety. One of the sponsors is at-large member Calvin Hawkins.
We want to make sure that we're not treating at least those who have been in trouble with any kind of, just give them any kind of food. We just want to make sure the quality is good, that's all. That we have some kind of standards in place other than the ones we now have in place. And as someone who has been on the other side and spent some time inside of a prison, I know how important it is to the men and women.
The measure passed unanimously. And overall crime has dropped significantly in Montgomery County, Maryland. This is based on the crime stats shared with the County Council's Public Safety Committee last week. Looking at the data from the first 3 quarters of the year, we see some positive trends. Both homicides and rapes have decreased, and car thefts, which really surged during the pandemic, are starting to slow down. In fact, there's been a 2% drop in auto thefts. And still to come on CTV News, professional wrestling company WWE is facing a new lawsuit. And I'll have our pet of the week back in a moment.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Can you see anything different as a pill?
No.
You don't know?
Fentanyl is being mixed into everything now. There's only one thing that will save somebody's life. That is naloxone nasal spray.
Fentanyl, it's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
Why would drug dealers put a lethal dose of fentanyl in drugs if they know it's so harmful?
Really just all about the money.
I just didn't realize that one pill could change your whole life.
More kids should know.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, amigo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, amigo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
You quit smoking and thought, that's that. But here's the thing about lung cancer. By the time you see the symptoms, it could be too late. But now, there's a new scan that can detect lung cancer early when it's more curable. If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Well, a new lawsuit accuses wrestling powerhouse WWE and its founders of fostering a culture of sexual abuse in the organization and looking the other way while a longtime employee preyed on young men. The suit against World Wrestling Entertainment and founders Vince and Linda McMahon was filed in Baltimore County last week. The complaint alleges that ringside announcer Melvin Phillips would target young men from disadvantaged backgrounds as ring boys to help with wrestling matches. Phillips would then allegedly assault the boys. Phillips died in 2012, but the suit says the founding couple was aware of the abuse and did nothing to stop it. And a new trend shows Americans are now shopping more affordable when it comes to their cars. Auto analysts say car buyers feel they can't afford a new vehicle that would cost them today's average selling price, which is 20% higher compared to the pre-pandemic average. This new shopping technique is forcing automakers to lower sale prices and offer steeper discounts. New U.S. car sales only went up 1% in September compared to this time last year. Now it's time for our Metro Minute. A $1.8 million lottery ticket from the multi-match drawing was sold right here in Prince George's yesterday. This is the 8th multi-match jackpot winner of 2024. And congratulations to Northwest Chinese for being named College Park's 2024 Business of the Year. The County Council gave the restaurant the title for its authentic Chinese cuisine and community involvement. Meantime, planners in Prince George's have an ambitious vision for the Northwest Stadium if the Commanders relocate elsewhere. While the Commanders' ownership has been neutral about where the team may end up, alternative sites have been proposed in D.C. and Loudoun County. And Vice President Kamala Harris is set to deliver her closing remarks at the Ellipse tonight in D.C. Last week, the campaign was granted a permit which allowed for 20,000 people to attend. However, today, the National Park Service amended the permit to allow up to 40,000 participants. All right, it's time for our pet of the week. Meet Delia, Adira, and Pandora. They are parakeets. Parakeets are lively, social birds, and these three are sure to bring lots of color and cheer to any household. These three parakeet pals arrived at Animal Management as a group and are looking for a forever home together.
Whenever they come in from a house, we house them together, so they're available for adoption together. Very oftentimes when we separate them, we notice a negative change in their behavior, so we would prefer to keep them together. So if you guys are looking for 3 parakeets, then come on down to Animal Services.
If you would like to adopt Delia, Adira, Pandora, or any of their feathered friends, call Animal Management at 301-780-7200. And Simon Buggs is here with our Tuesday Sports page. What do you have for us today, Simon?
Well, today, Mariah, we have some exciting as well as some sad news from the world of basketball. Stay right there, sports fans, because coming right up, Terp star forward Julian Reese touches on how he's been even better ahead of the 2025 season, and a former basketball star passes away. We'll be right back.
If I could be you, and you could be me, for just 1 hour, if we could find a way to get inside each other's minds, if you could see you through my eyes instead of your ego, I believe you'd be surprised to see that you've been blind. Walk a mile in my shoes, walk a mile in my shoes, yeah, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes, walk a mile in my shoes, well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Jason, let's go see your room.
That's not right. How was it? Is it good?
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
All right, everybody, it's time for your Tuesday Sports page. We begin with college hoops. Now, one player that'll be looking to make his senior season count is Terps forward Julian Reese. He is coming off of a season where he averaged 14 points, almost 10 boards, and 2 blocks a game. And the Baltimore native told me what he worked on during the offseason to have the best senior year he can.
Definitely my perimeter game. I've been shooting a lot of free throws and just taking care of, just focusing on the things I'm already perfecting at, just perfecting the things I'm already good at, and just doing things like that, like finishing around the rim and setting hard screens, taking care of the ball and things like that they're looking for in the next level.
Reese and the rest of the team will open up this season at home against Manhattan on November 4th. Sticking with college hoops, the Terps women's basketball squad will be looking to improve upon the season where they went 19-14 and booked a trip to the March Madness tournament. A player that will play a big role in the Lady Terps having an even better year in 2025 is guard Cheyenne Sellers. Sellers is expected to have a big season for the team, so much so that she was named to the Naismith Trophy Women's College Player of the Year watch list. As a junior last season, Sellers put up a team high 16 points, almost 6 assists, and 6 boards a game. The Ohio native was also named to the preseason All-Big Ten team for the second straight season. She's also just one of 4 returning players in the country to average more than 15 points, 5 assists, and 5 boards a game last season. Meantime, the Baltimore Ravens are coming off of a loss this past Sunday against an AFC North rival in the Cleveland Browns. A big reason for the Purple and Blacks' loss was because they struggled to defend the pass as Jameis Winston threw for over 300 yards. Baltimore is ranked dead last in the league in passing defense, and the reason for that is their inability to come up with picks. And head coach John Harbaugh talked about improving that going forward.
We lead the league in those drops there, interception-wise. It's no secret. And those are huge plays, man. Those are huge opportunity plays. I'm going to choose to look at like those plays are going to get made, and that's the upside for us, man. That's low-hanging fruit, the way I see it, going forward. That's where you can make a huge difference in your play. I mean, how many fewer plays you have to play, how many fewer scoring opportunities they have, the difference in points. It's massive, making those plays. So we'll make those plays. We'll work hard at it, and we'll continue to work even harder at it, because it's something that we want our guys to have confidence in.
The Ravens are 5-3 and will host Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos next on Sunday. And some sad news out of the basketball world as former NBA player Gerard Mustaf passed away unexpectedly yesterday on his 55th birthday. Mustaf was a local legend as he attended DeMatha Catholic High School and played at the University of Maryland from 1998 to 90. Mustaf even played in the NBA as he was drafted by the New York Knicks, playing 1 season for them and 3 for the Phoenix Suns. The cause of his death is unknown. And wrapping up sports, the Laurel High School girls soccer squad will take the field tonight against Blair in the playoffs. The game begins at 6:30. And be sure to tune in tomorrow, soccer fans, as I have some highlights for you. And that wraps up your Tuesday sports page.
Thank you, Simon. So this weekend, what else do the Ravens need to do to get that win against the Broncos?
Well, besides defend the pass, Mariah, it's going to sound like an obvious answer, but I really want the team to establish that run game. Last week against the Browns, they didn't run the ball as much as I liked. They only gave Derrick Henry 11 carries. I feel like going into this game, they need to make it a priority to give them more carries. It won't be easy, though, as the Broncos are at the top of the league in terms of rush defense, but the Ravens are #1 in rushing offense. So if there's any team that can really establish that run, it's a big physical team like the Ravens and a quality running back like Derrick Henry that's in their backfield. So we'll see what happens. Should be a good game.
All right. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Now we're going to take a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight will be mostly clear out. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with a high of 78 and low of 61. Thursday for Halloween, we're going to reach a high of 80, but showers are expected later in the night. Friday will have a high of 75 and a 40% chance of showers between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. And for our community calendar, tomorrow evening, join the Patuxent River Park for a nature-themed, not too spooky Halloween movie night. Bring the whole family by for a kid-friendly movie and a campfire complete with s'mores. This event takes place from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. Pre-registration is required, so for more information, contact 301-627-6074. And that wraps up CTV News for now. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
If love were a threshold, we could cross every ocean to understand whale song and coral, crab and plankton. If love were strawberries and wheat, we could shape it into a sweetheart dessert, passing our lips as if we had only tasted earth once. And if love were hanging from the branches of the pine and palm, acacia and fir, we could be indivisible from the tiger, the turtle, the bison and birds. If only our love were larger than wildfire and faster to take root. If only our love were more swift than the eye of the hurricane and strong enough to break storm surge. Here is the boldness of our love in one hand, our strength against what we might lose in the other. Can we love more? Yes, yes, yes.